For the last 50 years or so, building our digital world meant one thing: a human sitting at a computer, carefully writing lines of code. But what if that's not the whole story anymore? Today, we're talking about OpenAI's Codex, a tool that's becoming less of an assistant and more of a real creative partner for developers. I mean, think about it, right? For decades, this was just the truth, the bedrock of all our technology. Every app on your phone, every website you visit, it all came down to a person staring at a screen, crafting those lines of code one by one. But that bedrock, it's starting to shift. We are entering a brand new era where AI isn't just checking your spelling in your code. No, it's becoming a co-creator, an active player in the whole process of building software. So let's be super clear here. This is not just a fancy version of the autocomplete you're used to, the one that suggests the next word. This is a massive, fundamental change in how programming actually gets done. So what exactly is Codex? Well, at its heart, it's an AI from OpenAI, and it's built on their famous GPT-3 model. But here's the kicker. It was trained specifically on code. Imagine feeding an AI 159 gigabytes of Python code from 54 million different projects on GitHub. What you get is an AI that can do something that sounds like science fiction. It can translate plain English directly into working code. And that right there, that's the huge shift. We're moving away from AI as just a passive tool, like a hammer you pick up when you need it. Now, it's a proactive collaborator. It's less of a tool and way more like a teammate who actually gets what you're trying to build. Okay, that all sounds pretty incredible, but how does it actually work? Day to day, how does a developer really use this AI partner to get stuff done? Let's break it down. The process is actually kind of beautiful in its simplicity. First, the developer just describes what they want, in plain English. Something like, hey, make me a web page with a blue button and make it say, click me. Step 2, Codex just does it. It takes that description and spits out the actual code. And then step 3, and this is so important, the human developer is still in charge. They review the code, they tweak it, they make it better, and then they implement it. It really is a partnership. And just look at the sheer range of things it can do. This is not just about writing a couple lines of code. It understands the context of the whole project you're working on. It works in more than a dozen different programming languages. It can help you find bugs in your own code. It'll even write the boring documentation for you. And it does all of this right inside the tools developers already use, like GitHub. So that's the tech. But what's the impact in the real world? Because this isn't some pie-in-the-sky future thing. It's already here, and it is totally changing what it means to be a developer. And believe me, this isn't just a niche tool for a few early adopters. Get this, by 2023, 92% of developers in the US were already using AI coding tools. 92%. It's not the future, it's the new standard. And this quote from a developer at Cisco Meraki really just nails it. They're saying they can hand off all the tedious, repetitive stuff, like cleaning up old code or writing tests, to the AI. And that frees up the human developers to focus on the big, creative problems, all without slowing the project down. And that really gets to the core of this idea of the augmented developer. The job isn't just about typing code anymore, it's evolving. Now developers are more like creative directors, guiding their AI partner. They're becoming mentors, focusing on the big picture architectural problems that still absolutely need a human brain. But of course, you can't have a technology this powerful, this disruptive, without running into some serious challenges and some really tough ethical questions that we've got to talk about. It really is a balancing act between the promise and the peril. On one hand, this is amazing. It makes coding accessible to more people, it boosts productivity like crazy. But on the other hand, you've got the very real risk of developers becoming over-reliant on it, maybe even losing some of their core skills. And AI-generated code, if you're not careful, can introduce sneaky security bugs or quality problems that a human expert still needs to catch. And if we dig in a little bit, you see some specific hurdles. For one, Codex can sometimes get lost in really big, complicated projects. Security is a huge one. You can't just blindly trust what the AI gives you. Then there are these messy legal questions about intellectual property, since it was trained on tons of public code. And finally, it's not cheap. The cost to use it can be a real barrier for smaller teams or solo developers. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If an AI writes a genius piece of code, who actually owns it? The person who wrote the prompt? The company that built the AI? The millions of people whose code it was trained on? Our laws are still scrambling to catch up to this stuff.
So, when you take all that into account, the incredible power and the serious pitfalls, where does that leave us? What's next for the developer and their new AI sidekick?
The general feeling right now is pretty clear. This is about augmentation, not replacement. The point isn't to make human developers obsolete. It's to give them superpowers, to free them from the boring stuff so they can focus on what humans do best: innovation, creativity, and big picture design. And believe me, the technology is only getting better and fast. We're already seeing fierce competition from other AIs, and that's just going to push things forward. Soon, you might just be able to show the AI a sketch of a website or a PDF, and it'll build it. The long-term vision is for these to become even more capable, generalized AI agents, even better teammates. And so we're left with this final thought. As the line between writing code and just describing what you want gets blurrier and blurrier, the whole idea of collaboration is changing right before our eyes. The question for the next generation of builders won't be if they'll work with an AI, but how they'll build the future together. Thanks for tuning in.